Dawn broke cold over Arlington National Cemetery, a thin mist curling around rows of white headstones, each a silent testament to lives given. At the heart of the cemetery stood the tomb of the unknown soldier, its marble glowing softly under a gray November sky. Staff Sergeant Malik Washington, 29-year-old black tomb guard of the 3rd United States Infantry Regiment, moved with flawless precision. 21 steps. Pause. Turn. 21 steps again. His polished boots struck the stone plaza, each click steady as a pulse. His blue dress uniform was immaculate, white gloves crisp, silver bayonet gleaming, M14 rifle balanced on his shoulder. To the crowd, families clutching coffee cups, schoolchildren with backpacks, veterans in faded caps, Malik was a living monument, a symbol of honor for those who never returned. Beneath his disciplined exterior, Malik carried a private weight. 4 years ago, in Afghanistan's dusty valleys, an IED had torn through his squad. His squad leader, Staff Sergeant Jamal Reed, had shoved Malik out of the blast's path, taking the full force himself. Reed's voice, calm amid chaos, echoed in Malik's mind. Keep them safe, Washington. That's the mission. The memory was a raw wound. Malik joined the tomb guard to honor men like Reed, to stand for the nameless whose stories were buried. Each step he took felt heavier, as if his past marched beside him. The November air was crisp, leaves skittering across the plaza, their rustle blending with the crowd's murmurs. Malik's eyes, trained to see everything and nothing, swept the scene. A young girl waved a small American flag, her pigtails bouncing. An elderly couple leaned on each other, faces carved with grief. Near the velvet rope barrier stood a man, about 70, leaning on a cane. His denim jacket was worn, a 1st Infantry Division patch stitched on the sleeve. A Vietnam War veteran, Malik knew instantly. The man's face was weathered, eyes distant, as if peering into a jungle far away. His name was James Carter, once called Jimmy, a former Army sergeant who trudged through Vietnam's muddy hills in 1969. Jimmy returned to a nation that scorned his service, his Bronze Star and Purple Heart hidden in a drawer, too heavy to bear. He had survived the Battle of Hamburger Hill, but his best friend, Private Leroy Brooks, had not. Leroy earned the Bronze Star posthumously for dragging 2 wounded soldiers to safety under fire, only to fall to a sniper's bullet. Jimmy promised Leroy's mother he'd bring the medal to the tomb one day to honor the unknowns. Today, 56 years later, he came, driven by a need he couldn't name, a need to know Leroy's sacrifice still mattered. Jimmy's arthritic fingers clutched the Bronze Star, its tarnished surface heavy with meaning. He stood at the barrier, the crowd's chatter fading to a hum. His cane wobbled on the slick stone, and as he steadied himself, the metal slipped. It hit the plaza with a sharp clink, a sound that pierced Jimmy's chest. The metal skittered beyond the rope, out of reach, glinting against the gray stone. Jimmy froze, his breath shallow. The sound wasn't stone, but shell casings. The screams of Hamburger Hill, Leroy's voice calling his name. The crowd noticed. Teenager in a hoodie, earbuds dangling, laughed. The old man dropped his shiny badge, he said. His friend nudged him, chuckling. Bet it's fake. A woman nearby, scarf fluttering, snapped, "Have some respect." No one stepped forward. Malik saw it all, his jaw tightening. The Bronze Star lay there, Leroy's courage mocked by indifference. Protocol was strict. Tomb guards do not break formation, do not speak, do not flinch. Their duty is the ritual, the unknown. Malik's mind flashed to Afghanistan when he disobeyed orders to pull a wounded private from a burning Humvee. He was reprimanded, then quietly praised by his commanding officer. Reed's words echoed, "Don't let them fade, Washington, not one." Jimmy bent, his knees creaking, fingers brushing the air above the metal. The teenager laughed louder, his voice slicing the plaza. Malik's gloved hand twitched, leather creaking. He counted his steps. 19, 20, 21. Pause, turn. The crowd held its breath, sensing a shift like air before a storm. Malik's eyes locked on the Bronze Star, its star shape a beacon in the gray. He saw Jimmy's trembling hand, the slump of his shoulders, the shame on his face. He thought of Leroy Brooks, a 19-year-old who gave everything, reduced to a metal kick toward oblivion. Protocol said, "Stay." Duty said, "Move." Malik stepped off the mat. One step, then two. Deliberate calm. The crowd gasped, a ripple of shock spreading. A child whispered, "Mom, he's moving." Malik crossed the rope, boots echoing in silence. He knelt, movements precise, and lifted the bronze star. He wiped it with his glove, bronze catching the light. Standing, he faced Jimmy, whose eyes widened with disbelief and gratitude. Malik held out the medal, his voice low, steady, breaking every rule. "This belongs with you, Sergeant. It's his courage, not just metal." Jimmy took the bronze star, hand shaking. "That's Leroy's," he whispered, voice rough with years of silence. "He earned it saving lives at Hamburger Hill. I thought I'd lost him again." Tears spilled down his weathered cheeks. "Thank you, son." Malik met his gaze, eyes steady, warm. "He's not lost, sir. None of them are." He saluted, slow, crisp, the gesture carrying unwritten stories. He turned, resuming his post as if the world hadn't shifted. The crowd stood frozen, then clapped softly, reverently. A young woman, Sarah Thompson, 20, a college student, captured it on her phone. Her fingers trembled as she posted to Instagram. "This is what America means." A tomb guard broke protocol to honor a Vietnam vet. #Tom Gardner. Across the plaza, Captain David Monroe, Malik's commanding officer, watched from the memorial amphitheater's shadows. His face was stern, pen scratching, violation of protocol. 10:47 a.m. Recommend disciplinary action. Monroe, a Gulf War veteran, saw the tomb as sacred, its rituals untouchable. Malik's act was a crack in tradition. By noon, Sarah's video had 300,000 views. By dusk, it was on CNN, X, TikTok, YouTube. Comments flooded in. "This is why we honor our troops. He broke the rules for a vet. That's a hero." Some disagreed. Tomb guards must be perfect. He shamed the post. Veterans groups rallied, posting photos of their medals, silver stars, purple hearts, bronze stars, with #TombGuardHonor. A Marine who served with Jimmy in Vietnam, now 73, limping, wrote on X, "That kid gave Jimmy his pride back." A VFW post in Ohio shared the video. "This is what service looks like." That night, Malik sat alone in the barracks, uniform hung neatly. Black coffee steamed untouched. The room was Spartan bunk beds, a locker, a photo of his squad in Afghanistan, Reed's grin front and center. Private Aisha Coleman, another tomb guard, slipped in, boots quiet. "You knew you'd catch trouble, didn't you?" she asked, leaning against the wall. Malik nodded, eyes on the photo. Saw his face. "Aisha. That medal was his friend's life. Couldn't let it lie there." Laughed at. "Monroe's livid," she said, crossing her arms. "Says you disrespected the tomb, might bench you for good." Malik's lips twitched, almost a smile. "Worth it." He carried that bronze star for 50 years. He almost let it slip away. Aisha studied him, then sat across. "You think about Afghanistan? About Reed?" "Every step," Malik said, voice barely a whisper. The blast, the heat, Reed's hands shoving him down, the silence after. He carried Reed's dog tag, a talisman against forgetting. That vet Jimmy looked like he carried the same thing. "I couldn't let him lose it." Aisha nodded, eyes soft. "They won't get it at the top, but I do." In a motel room near Arlington, Jimmy sat on a creaky bed, bronze star in his hands. The motel was cheap, wallpaper peeling, all he could afford. Beside him, a faded photo of him and Leroy in Vietnam. Two kids, grinning despite mud and fear. He hadn't looked at it in decades, too afraid of the pain. Now he traced Leroy's face. "You made it to the tomb, Leroy," he murmured. "Someone saw you. Someone cared." He turned on the TV, news blaring. Lick's salute filled the screen, blurry but unmistakable. The anchor said, "A tomb guard's unprecedented act of compassion has sparked debate. Tradition or humanity? We'll explore after the break." Jimmy's chest tightened. His private pilgrimage was now national news. He thought of the years after Vietnam protesters at the airport, nights he drank to forget. The bronze star, Leroy's legacy, was his anchor. Proof their fight meant something. Today, a young soldier reminded him it still did. The next morning, Malik faced a disciplinary board at Fort Myer. Captain Monroe presided, face like granite. 3 officers flanked him, uniforms bristling with ribbons. Sergeant Washington Monroe began, voice sharp. "You violated the tomb's sanctity at 10:47 yesterday. You broke formation, spoke, engaged a civilian. Explain yourself." Malik stood at attention, posture flawless. "I honored a soldier's sacrifice, sir. That bronze star belonged to Private Leroy Brooks, earned in blood at Hamburger Hill. It fell. No one else moved. I couldn't let it be mocked. The tomb isn't just for the unknowns, for every soldier who served, living or dead." Monroe's eyes narrowed, pen tapping. "Your duty is the ritual, not playing hero. The tomb demands perfection, not sentiment." "With respect, sir," Malik said, voice firm, "duty is to the men we buried and the ones still standing, carrying their weight. That veteran deserved better than laughter." Silence settled, thick. A retired colonel, chest heavy with medals, cleared his throat. Recommendation. 1 week suspension, public statement of regret. Malik's gaze held steady. "I won't regret honoring a veteran, sir. Not now, not ever." The room felt smaller, air charged. Monroe leaned back, jaw tight. He understood sacrifice, but tradition was his gospel. Malik's defiance was a challenge. Jimmy, urged by a reporter, visited a VFW post in Arlington. The room was packed gray-haired veterans, younger ones from Iraq, Afghanistan, all nursing beers, stories. Jimmy stood, bronze star pinned to his jacket, its weight grounding him. "This ain't just metal," he said, voice steady. "It's Leroy Brooks. He was 19. Saved 2 men. Took a bullet for it. Every kid we lost is in this medal. That guard Malik didn't just pick it up. He picked me up. Don't punish him. Give him a medal." The room erupted, fists pounding, cheers echoing. A young vet recorded posted 2x by nightfall. It was on Fox News, MSNBC, every outlet. Sarah's video, now at 2 million views, fueled a firestorm. Hashtag Tom Gardner trended with 1.5 million posts. A petition to commend Malik, not suspend him, surged to 400,000 signatures. A 12-year-old girl from Ohio, whose father was an Iraq vet, posted a watercolor of Malik saluting Jimmy, captioned, "This is what heroes do." A Vietnam-era chopper pilot shared his Bronze Star photo, writing, "Washington reminded us why we fought." A Texas history teacher had her class write essays on the video. One student noted he broke the rules, but he fixed something bigger, in Congress. During a Veterans Day address, a Virginia senator invoked Malik's name. "If we punish compassion, we dishonor the soldiers we serve." Sergeant Washington showed duty isn't just standing still, stepping forward. The chamber applauded, sound carrying to newsrooms. Captain Monroe, alone in his office, felt pressure mounting. He rewatched Sarah's video, pausing on Jimmy's face, relief, tears, pride. Monroe, no stranger to loss, had buried friends in the Gulf War, carried their names. He opened Malik's file. Exemplary record. Purple Heart from Afghanistan. Volunteered for the Tomb Guard. He rubbed his temples. Typed, "Recommend commendation for exceptional judgment under unique circumstances." 10 days later, Jimmy returned to Arlington. The crowd parted, some saluting, others nodding. A boy offered him a small flag. Malik was at his post, steps precise, eyes carrying new light. At 11 a.m., a ceremony unfolded on the tomb's plaza. A brigadier general, chest a mosaic of ribbons, invited Jimmy and Malik to the center. Malik, with special permission, pinned a silver star to Jimmy's jacket, a civilian honor for inspiring courage. Jimmy's eyes glistened, hand clutching the bronze star. "For Leroy," he said, voice breaking. Malik knelt, placing a white rose at the tomb's base. "For all of them," he replied, voice quiet, resonant. The crowd stood, hands over hearts, some weeping. Sarah Thompson, front row, wiped a tear, phone off, heart full. A Vietnam vet in the back raised a trembling salute, lips mouthing, "Thank you," in his motel. Jimmy hung Leroy's bronze star beside his Purple Heart, medals catching light. He pulled out the photo of him and Leroy, their grins frozen. He wrote to Malik, never mailed, You gave an old man his friend back. You gave America its soul. Don't stop. He fell asleep, TV on, a news anchor quoting a viral post. The tomb guard didn't break tradition. He built it. Malik, in his apartment, opened a drawer. Inside reads dog tag, a folded flag, a letter from the army, commendation for valor. He set it down, fingers lingering. Another weight, he whispered. But I'll carry it. He looked out, DC skyline faint. Somewhere Reed was watching. 4 months later, a Vietnam vet from California visited Arlington. He posted Malik's photo at the tomb, silhouette stark against marble. He moved for one of us. That's enough. Caption: the tomb doesn't just hold the unknown, it holds us all. Jimmy passed away that spring, peacefully, bronze star in hand, smile on his face. At his funeral in a Virginia church, Malik stood in dress blues, saluting as taps played, notes piercing the quiet. Didn't speak, his presence a vow. Leroy, Jimmy, read Never Forgotten. Wyatt Arlington, watching Malik march weeks later, tugged his mother's sleeve. Why is he so still? She knelt, voice soft. Because he only moves when it matters, sweetheart. When he does, the whole world notices. Malik heard, face unchanged, steps unbroken. Deep inside, he felt it the weight of valor, light as a rose, heavy as a nation's memory. He marched on, 21 steps, carrying the past, guarding the future. This is the story of a soldier and a medal, of a quiet November morning at Arlington, of a rule broken to restore a promise made half a century ago. It reminds us that sometimes, in the solemn precision of duty, there must be room for a pause, for memory, for mercy. At the tomb of the unknown soldier, where silence is sacred and movement choreographed, one man stepped out of line, not to dishonor the ritual, but to honor a life. So today, think of Leroy, of Jimmy, of those whose courage never made headlines, but whose legacy echoes through generations. Share their story, not to stir controversy, but to stir conscience. And if you ever visit Arlington, watch the guard walk his post. Count the steps and listen closely. Somewhere between the clicks of his boots, you might just hear the echo of a promise kept.